Look around and see the beauty of the sky. Here for you and me, a wonderful life. Look around and see the beauty of the sky. Here for you and me, a wonderful life. No need to run and hide. It's so wonderful, wonderful. No need to laugh and cry. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. Here I go, out to sea again. The sunshine fills my hair. Dreams hang in the air. Gold in the sky, and in my blue eye. You know it feels unfair. There's magic everywhere. No need to hide and cry. It's so wonderful, wonderful life. No need to laugh and cry. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. The sun's in your eyes, the heat is in your hair. They seem to hate you.
Right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? How is the voice to music ratio? Need an next 1000x? Alright, let's find 1000x. Easy. Easy. Is that it? Do you not want like a bajillion acts? Voice good, music good, or is it music too loud? If anything, you're not ambitious enough, mate. Good evening, Mary. Good evening, Fernando, Shane, Charles, John, Jesse. Let's go. Let's jump into the stream. Miss DeFi, buongiorno. And whatever else. Hello in many different languages. So, first off, let's shout out to Bunkbot for sponsoring the stream. They've just dropped a ton of new alfalfa, which is my way of saying alpha. So they are just constantly building on this product. And since last stream, we've been we've actually added some filters and started playing around with things so that we don't ape 250 million bundled shitter. Oh, completely random and pointless crap. I mean, we've got to just ape some of that, right? Ape the top of crap. Let's go. We got to ape something this stream, yeah. I kind of like the notion of completely random and pointless, so let's just go with it. We probably just top longed something to start with to start the stream, but that's fine. We will come back to this at the end of the stream as is standard, and we will inspect said P&L. But anyway, let's kind of jump into some of the stuff that they've actually done. So you can do emojis on your wallet trackers and stuff like that, which you know, so when you see wallets ape on charts, you can see specific emojis per wallets, which is pretty cool. The X-ray stuff, which is this, so over on the right, when you're looking at, you know, which is what we were looking at there. So I put up, you know, 5 mil market cap absolute max on this, just to make sure that we're not aping like very high coins. And you know, the maximum of the top 10% of holders can have is like 30%. Just some like simple things to really just bosh out some of the proper bundled shitcoins. Which this is a new little feature, which is pretty cool. I've not like cared about the dev holding or holders or anything like that, but we will see. We will see how our crap goes. I mean, it's not looking wonderful to start the stream with. But yeah, if you guys want to try Bunkbot, I will drop a referral link in the stream, and you can give it a go. And yes, use my ref link now. That's it. Like the stream and do that. Yeah? Cheers. I'm just gonna fucking chill. Fuck it. It's a great product, and if you're on chain, like, this is the way to trade. Like, you can be far more sophisticated than I am being right at this moment in time. And I'm still at my kind of, like, early journey for all of this, right? Like, there's kind of, like, I've been through the, yeah, this is alright. Now I'm at the kind of, I know I don't know much, and I'm starting up that kind of knowledge of, that ramp up of knowledge. So, let's average in, shall we? Let's fucking go. Go. Bring the average down a bit. Yeah. Either way, we'll come back to this at the end of the stream. Shout out to the legends at Bunkbot, and like I said, I will bosh my ref link in the chat. So how's everyone feeling? Super bullish? Super bearish? What's going on? What's the happy haps? How's everyone feeling? Note the emotive word. Hey, good morning, Smoky Lisa. Buongiorno. Always bullish. I like that. Always bullish. Lovely. Hungry to win. Oh, that's a good one. I like that because we'll win regardless. Bullish, bearish, not really doing much. We will win. Too delusional to be bearish. I like that. And yeah, I've smashed the Bunkbot ref link in here, so you can have a sign up and have a play. You can ape my shitcoin. Oh yes, fucking $5. Let's go. Cash out. Fucking quick, cash out. Bosh. No, we're gonna round trip the whole thing during the stream. what we did last time, wasn't it, boys and girls? It ran like 3-4x, and yeah, we came back to an L, but we'll leave it open and we'll see what happens. Really like a middle time frame pullback, not feel overextended. Yeah, I like that. So let's jump into BTC. So you know, I've kind of got a couple of things going, which is like this is how I actually executed. So I also round tripped along in the 104 area, and I sold it down like. I saw it basically at the Pico low at like 1015 or something like that. So it was like, yeah, okay. So maybe it wasn't the Pico low, but this is what I've traded in the Paragon with my entries kind of here and here. So I am, you know, average here, and I'm just riding it up. When we talked about it on stream back here, this was the kind of like, if you are totally sidelined, this is the play that I would take. And, you know, it's going nicely so far, let's be honest. Really, really nicely. But yeah, I did take a 105-ish, somewhere around here, and took an L. But it wasn't the biggest position size, but I'm still, like, I've got less Bitcoin than I would like, from a swing trade perspective, but either way, it's good. You know, I'm still bullish on BTC. The only thing that is minorly worrying me, oh, I did this chart. Buy zone, sell zone, lovely. The only thing that's worrying me, like, minorly at the moment is this, which is, you know, a lower high here. And, you know, it can play into that whole scenario that everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a boring summer, blah, 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 right? Purely because it comes back down, it chops around, you know, it goes back to, like, this range low down here, so you've got, you know, this pretty consistent kind of support. Like, obviously I've run this fucking terribly. Let's just, let's stop being lazy, shall we? Like, we'll do something like this. We'll do something like this. And we'll just say that, you know, if it came back down to here, like, that is kind of what everyone expects for, like, a boring, choppy summer, yeah, during this period. Now, I haven't got any real reason to kind of suspect that. You know, we smashed into the highs, on RSI. You know, a pretty strong move over the last couple of days, which is nice. You know, nice to see a bit of strength and momentum from this sell-off down here at like 100k basically. But, you know, am I worried that this is like a generational top? Not really. Would it be funny if it was? Yeah, it kind of would be. So your point, Charles Dellinger, in terms of would like a middle time frame pullback, then yeah, it kind of makes sense because we've got this here, right? And last time, like every time we've breached, well, not here, but like here we pulled back. Here we kind of carried on going for a bit longer because it was such a brutal move up. But you know, we didn't really have this major pullback. And here, let's have a look. Yeah, it's pretty much up only, and that's like a sideways consolidation, right? So, you know, maybe we are pulling back a little bit, but I'm not going to get super bearish yet, or I'm not going to say, oh my god, it's over, or any bullshit like that. Like, I'm just going to try and go, well, I don't want to get massively exposed to Bitcoin now, because it's just, you know, choppy in terms of like this price action could easily range. You know, my best opportunities tend to be in altcoins. And if you've seen my feed at all, you'll see that I've been longing the absolute shit, pun intended, out of Fartcoin. Now, you know, for me, Fartcoin has been one of the best like memes to trade for a long time. But obviously a lot of it does depend on Daddy Bitcoin. And all I'm really looking at in terms of Bitcoin is meme line across here and meme line across kind of here. And the reason that I'm thinking about this is, or trying to use this as a bit of confluence for, you know, when, how do I close the Fartcoin long, and we'll come on to the actual price action of the Fartcoin chart in a minute, because, you know, that's obviously very important as well. But, you know, when do we start getting worried? Like, this is a lower high technically right now on like a 2-day or daily basis if it closes like this, yeah? Am I particularly worried? No, not really. Like, you know, momentum's starting to kind of come back. It's not even at an extreme. RSI's not an extreme, blah, blah, blah. In most likely scenarios, we probably come back into something like this, just chop around as we, you know, dick around like previous all-time highs, essentially, which is obviously this here at 111. So really, what's the next trade up here? Well, for me, it's nothing. You know, if we get something of an extreme, so we get like a strong sell-off again like this, or we get something like, let's just delete some of these squiggles. Yeah, if we get a little pullback down here and then we get to go again, absolutely fine. Could jump on that and just play a rotation and literally play for something like this. But we tend to get, you know, a lot of chop around former all-time highs, and it's a difficult place to take risk on, as opposed to when you start getting, you know, breaks of downtrends, like even the same thing here, right? The same thought process, and that was kind of part of my thought process back here, was if we've got a downtrend in price action and we start breaking above this level, like the former consolidation, former highs over here, then it's a good place to grab some. And really, it was only invalidated when we lost, you know, this former consolidation range over here. But if we come back, and we come back down to here, and we do that, that's kind of still bullish continuation. If I take all my drawings off and just go back to this very simply, you know, you're looking at resistance, 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 etc. And yeah, all we are looking to do is basically flip that, reclaim it, and stay in line with this previous range. Not particularly complicated. Any questions? Any queries? Pretty simple in Bitcoin, I think. For me. You know, something like that. Looks good. ETH is actually the more interesting trade at the moment for me. You know, ETH BTC in a nice little range, broken, you know, 3-day downtrends. Talked about this quite a lot. Maybe this is the ETH BTC rotation, which I know a lot of Twitter are kind of on board with, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, who knows. Maybe this is it, maybe it just runs. But, you know, I'm bullish ETH. I've longed it. I am looking at this and how this reacts now. So I was kind of explaining in the group this week that a lot of, like, to me, a lot of the market's next leg really depends on what ETH is going to do. And this is like the literal classic, you know, meme TA or guy that says, this is a crucial point, but this is a crucial point. It's a real crucial point for Ethereum because, you know, I'm going to close this long. And this target is an absolute target for fucking ants, right? Like, if you follow this logic through, like, typically what you'd say is that we get at least like this kind of move, right? So whatever this is, you know, normally, yeah, you'd go for something a bit more like 47%, which would put us, where are we at? 3.7-ish. So that should really be the kind of push. But even with the lower target, you know, it was still a pretty good. Oh, sorry, bosh. Still a pretty good 6-hour trade, right? You know, on the assumption that it works out, obviously. But yeah, let's jump it back up and go for that. So why is it so important right here, right now? Well, the thought process that I was marking out the other day is this: if we sweep these lows down here, like from entry, then that's kind of me invalidated on this trade, and there's a chance, you know, a pretty reasonable chance, I think, that we'd just do that and just kind of sell off for a period, and that whole summer chop period would kind of come to fruition. ETH would be weak, and everyone would be, you know, upset and probably afraid to go outside. So, you know, that being said, that is not what happened. What actually happened was, you know, I longed some Fartcoin and some ETH, and the market just absolutely ran from those positions while I went out and did some good work. Did some gardening for my grandparents, which is, you know, lucky to be able to do that. But right here, right now, you know, this is a classic range, yeah? We've bounced around this range like fucking Pac-Man, just ping-ponging between them, and now hopefully this is the breakout, right? But the reality is that it doesn't look like it right at this second. We've had a real strong move, and now we're coming back and testing it. We had the good buyback, the strong candle, but it's really lost momentum. So what we really have to hope now is that ETH can just reset and then start going. You know, I'm not closing this trade until we essentially close somewhere under here. Yeah? So if we close under here, you know, if we come back in value, then there's a good chance that we go to value area low, which is down here. the bottom of the range. So if there's a good chance that it's going to do that, why would I bother holding it? Why wouldn't I just take profit? Right? Take the profit, move on to the next trade. I can always, if it goes like this, I can always re-long when we reclaim and break out. So I could do a long there. There's plenty of options. There's kind of always another trade. And there's also not always a good reason to give back a metric fuck ton of your trade. Right? Still pretty reasonable for a couple of days work. A 10% move basically. Well, maybe not 10%, but yeah, 9% move in a few days. That's pretty good. Pretty goddamn good. But yes, ETH will decide the next leg of the market IMO. Is everyone kind of clear on that? Any questions? No questions. Quiet stream tonight. Really quiet stream tonight. What we got? 61 people watching. Is that 5 likes? Bloody rude. 16 likes. Happy days. 16 likes. Alright, that's better. That's better. I'll forgive 16 of you. Yeah, if ETH doesn't rip here, it looks like a swing failure. Exactly. Do you think there's going to be an alt season? No. Let's just be blunt. I don't think there's going to be an alt season. I don't think there's going to be, everyone's got this massive, perception that 2017 and 2021 are going to happen again, right? This is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again across the entire market, right? It's just not. And let me explain why I think that. And then let me explain kind of what I think that means. And if you think I'm wrong, brilliant, right? You do whatever the fuck you want with your money. You invest it however you like. You have whatever kind of belief system that you want is going to happen. Do I think there are going to be charts that do this? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I think there is going to be more of a skill set this cycle than last cycle and the cycle before in getting the charts like this and finding them? Abso-fucking-lutely. Right? That is what I think. So, is there generational opportunities to make... Sorry, are there opportunities to make generational wealth? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you get a couple of really nice rotations, it doesn't even have to be like this, right? A 10x. If you roll coins or roll trades from, one good trade into another good trade into another good trade, you can compound wealth very quickly in crypto. And, that is what's so attractive about it. And it is, to me, the only method of wealth creation that you can really do with really fuck all, right? A small amount of capital, if you're on low caps, if you're trading low caps, if you're networking with the right people, if you're searching for gems, if you're finding some gems early, whatever you have to do, there's going to be some banging opportunities. Look at Farcoin, right? I've traded the metric fuck out of Farcoin recently. Absolutely blitzed this fucking coin. Honest to God, it's just... This is the kind of asset that... Do I think there's going to be a bull run? Do I think there's going to be an alt season? Yeah, it's right fucking here. It's right fucking in front of you. It's literally, this has been just so good to trade. Do I think you can put 10 grand in anything and wake up 6 weeks later and it be 100 grand? Nah, I don't think that. I don't think the market's got the attention span for that kind of thing anymore. It's too much dilution. You have to be picking the right alts. There's a massive skill to it. Does that kind of answer T-Roll? What's a small amount of capital to you? Depends. The way I always put this to people is, right, if I'm stood at a bar and someone comes along and, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's not some random dude, and they buy me a drink. I'm like, oh, cheers, mate, that's fucking awesome. It might be £6, £7, £8 a pint, whatever. You know, but that's fucking great. Happy days. So is 8 quid a lot of money? Well, that's a nice, you know, nice thing someone's just done to me. But is it a lot of money in the context of my trading? Yeah, it's my entire fucking portfolio. You know, a lot of money is whatever a lot of money is to you. And usually, the way I define it is either a percentage of your net worth or income, or it's time. So like, I always used to be really, how do I put it, anal about how much things were. So if we were going on holiday and it was £400, I'm like, okay, well that takes me, you know, 3 days at work to earn that. Is it worth it? Yes, because it's a nice holiday. You know, whatever it might be. So balance it all back to time is my like standard philosophy. How much time do I want to, you know, how much money, sorry, how much time does this money buy me? It's $1,000, what does it actually buy you in terms of living expenses and life? And that can be vary by country, right? But anyway, I've ranted about that. What's the confirmation to cut the trade? 1 hour close behind the box. What do you mean on Ethereum? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just a kind of hourly close under there. You know, this was alright because A, it just kind of touched the trend and was like instantly bought up. And if you actually look at you know, if you look at the low time frame price action, it literally sold off and like pretty much V reversed. Like not a strong V reversed, like it wasn't just straight up, but it's still pretty good. Still pretty good. So you know, this in and of itself is a really good sign. So, you know, the fact that we had one little test and it's bounced, you know, fairly promising to start with. Hopefully, it can go again. Yeah, and we can get something like this. We can break this now, and then we can start going. And we can go, bosh. And just fucking go again. And send it from the eyes. Looks a lot more dramatic when it's zoomed in, doesn't it? And this is just a continuation play. You know, and this is how, like, if I'm really being aggressive, this is how I compound. So like on Filecoin, for example. Could see top 50 alts. We'll see an Altseason. People will always take on risk. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is like a lot of them will move. They will move, you know, in line with the market, and most coins will just move like in line with Bitcoin. So like, look at this, like Bitcoin is up and to the right since the pivot on Monday morning. Like pretty much every altcoin has outperformed, right? Has outperformed Bitcoin. But some of these are going to be illiquid and pretty shit. Some of them are basically the same as Bitcoin, Litecoin being the example. You know, Moodang, XRP have done worse than BTC. You know, that means that like you just don't want to touch these yet. With a barge pole, I think XRP will probably change, but you know, who knows? TRB seems to be one that I think we should have an eye on because it's a dodgy market maker, and you know, if it's very, very like low beta and weak here, what typically happens is we have a sell-off and then that completely reverses and it becomes one of the stronger coins. So have it on your radar, have it marked up, have a chart marked up, and we'll come on to that in a bit. But you know, it's always, if it's an outlier, it should always be interesting, is the very simple point. Those coins will do a 3x, but people won't TP. It's your job to compound that 3x into 6x and so forth. Yeah, kind of. I mean, for me, and this is what I'm good at, and this is what I preach and teach a lot, is asset selection is the biggest thing, like this cycle, and probably any cycle. And you know, I'm trading Filecoin. I've traded the literal, second best asset on this list, right? Yeah, there's been some other things that have moved more, you know, on chain. There's been like KTA and all the stuff that happened with that, you know, fucking went like that, went like that, went like that. You know, all the FUD and drama there. But you know, from a perps perspective, Filecoin's been fucking amazing. What do I think about Launchcoin? Okay. Well, we can jump to that. So I had a theory on Launchcoin. You would have seen at the start of the stream that let's have a look. Where is it? Yep, you would have seen it here. So this was my Monday's outlook in the Paragon. Oh, and while I'm here, while I casually mention the Paragon, we have actually boshed some discount code for the first time in a long fucking time, because I get nagged about it all the time. And I will bosh it in the chart. which is 20% off, and I think it's going to run till Friday, but it might be cut short. We'll see. And it's just stream_hype. 20% off everything, which means if you do a yearly thing, it's like 40% off in total, so you basically get whatever that is. Can't do the maths, but 4 months free, 4 and a bit months, I don't know. Yeah, 4 and a bit months, isn't it? Christ. It's been a while since they did mental arithmetic. But, yeah, if you've been waiting to check it out, you've probably got some extra shekels from all this bullishness. So, yeah, don't hesitate. So yeah, Launchcoin, I did this in my Monday morning outlook, where we caught Fartcoin, where we caught ETH, where I drew this plan for Launchcoin and never fucking took it. But I think it's a really good coin to have quite high on your radar, and the reason that I had it high on my radar is, you know, you all know I'm quite a big fan of high time frame pivots. Bosh, 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 loads there, you know, pretty fucking clean in terms of how it reacts to this level. We'll take this one, even though it basically didn't tag it, but fuck it if it's my bias. You know, this move here, you know, strong move above, and then we got the retest, and actually, like, literally bounced perfectly. So this is one of those classic things where you don't get any clout points because you didn't execute on it. Unfortunately, theory without execution is just twaddle. It's just a story. It's fucking useless. You know, my tax man isn't going to want to hear anything about this. But the theory was, because obviously Pump Fund are raising a token, or launching a token rather, aren't they? 1 bill valuation. It makes kind of sense that Launchcoin will come into the meta of like just being a proxy play, and really like this whole chart just sort of screamed, well, if we're reclaiming a very, very high time frame pivot, you know, that looks like this, well, that seems pretty reasonable to assume that it's going to run. So yeah, that was the theory. You know, if I was in a trade now, I'd be pretty bullish on it. I'd be holding it for a while. You know, the clear next level for me is like just holding up this. If it comes back, retests it, that's absolutely fine. You keep in bullish market structure, you're probably keeping in line with the trend, and off you're going. But if it starts like breaking down, then that's probably GG. You know, combining it with just some like meme diagonals in terms of structure. Does that answer your question, mate? Ichimoku. I think it looks good. If you're in a position, you know, I'd be holding this for a while. I think the whole meta will be quite good for Launchcoin. Selective bets probably the way to go instead of buying random shit because everything goes up 100x. Yeah. It's exactly that. I mean, and in reality, it was always the same, right? Like, some of my friends got like 5x while others got a 10x. Some of my friends got a 50x while others got a 20x. Like, you know, that was way back when, but the reality is, you know, it's going to be much, much, much harder. Like, the whole market might go up. Like, if I just go back to this, right, let's go to the weekly. Let's go back to, like, before, you know, way back when. You know, you got some stuff here that is just nothing. Got stuff like Fat, Sol, you know. Bitcoin has outperformed most. Pretty wild actually to see that, isn't it? XRP, the fifth. So yeah, does that make sense? Just sort of checking with you guys periodically. Where are we? Fuck, I'm broke. No. That's it. I'm gonna have to James win and start posting my Solade on fucking Twitter. Gib. You get to watch me go broke live on stream. Hype good coin. Yes, Hype is a good coin. So I've been very lucky with Hype. We did this on stream months ago. Those of you who were there. Buying 13, which is a better entry than me because I fucking bought 17 over here somewhere. And then like 8 a 50% drawdown. And yeah, I've held most of it. And we've got that classic like all-time high retest, which I think is what we were talking about last week, wasn't it? You know, former all-time highs or former highs, because I think it actually wicked higher on other exchanges. But yeah, it's very, very strong coin. I mean, for me, you know, you can even just do a lot of this. Like a lot of people are going to do well just having their bias objectively checked by a couple of you know, meme diagonals, right? It's not beyond the realm of man or woman or they just to go, well, if it breaks down from this, you know, that's the kind of uptrend lost. You know, chuck that with like a higher time frame, moving average of some description, and yeah, you get the kind of, well, this is where I should shave some off at a minimum, because there's a good chance that momentum is stalling, and therefore the chance of it reversing gets higher and higher. Yeah. So it's all well and good, you know, yes, you have to eat a little bit of drawdown, or sorry, pullback, you know, and give some gains back, because the market typically moves like this. But do you want to like round trip the entire fucking thing? Probably not. And will there be another trade? Absolutely. Money flows from the impatient to the patient, you know. It's always been that way, and it always will be. I love how there's HSBC between the shitcoins. Yeah, because when those absolute cunts closed my business bank account and gave me 2 months notice, like before they were going to close it, I wanted to go straight on Twitter and just be like, right, time to short HSBC. Bosh. But actually, it doesn't look particularly terrible. Like, you know, if this was a shitcoin, I'd be like, ooh, it's actually like reasonably juicy for a flip, because the whole market's just pointing up, and you know, it's not perfectly clean, and it is like much more of an area than a, you know, very specific price. You know, I'm kind of going into massive boxes now, but yeah, that was why I was there. Don't forget to say money isn't real. Yeah, money isn't real, guys. Fuck. I'm sure I'll cope. Yeah, money's not real, etc, etc. Yeah, hype's been a banger of a trade, right? Absolute banger. Like I said, like there's been various places that you could have got on board. I think like now is a genuinely bad time, because you know, this is like getting very late in the trend. You know, we are accelerating in terms of our moves up and all that kind of stuff, but low momentum kind of had this run up and has pulled back a bit. You know, from a stock perspective, we reset and started going again. Same with RSI, you know, it's kind of close to the 50, but you know, you wouldn't expect it to necessarily, it doesn't have to tag the 50 to be like still in a strong uptrend, right? But it's a nice pullback to kind of say, well, some sellers have stepped in. This is, you know, having a decent attempt at continuation and going higher. But yeah, there's no trade for me right here, right now. Maybe if it consolidates and does something a little bit like easy to do, as in, you know, we form a series of higher lows heading into resistance, you know, with meme diagonal confluence, with some relative strength, etc, etc. We can maybe play a breakout trade up here, but right now it's just too janky. Like, even like this, like forming a little range, that's much nicer, I think, with the kind of strong move up. That kind of pattern, if we got that up here, then I could be tempted. But aside from that, there's just, you know, hold, wait till it loses trend, duck out. Has he done Fartcoin? I haven't really done it, mate. I'll jump into it, because I love talking about Fartcoin. It's all I do, it's all I trade. Sorry, I've been up since like 4 o'clock this morning, so for no real reason. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Like let's get a fresh Fartcoin chart and we'll just bosh it up. I thought I had one. Alright, let's go fresh Fartcoin chart. So let's start with the weekly. Alright, it's fuck all really information. Not particularly helpful. So let's go 3-day. Okay, so we've got like pretty shitty structure. Got a 50 retest, so, you know, we know that it's a reasonable place to kind of bet on either trend continuation, which is to the up and to the right because it's bullish, or like it will probably just stall and range for a period, okay? So with that in mind, let's go to lower time frames. Is there a div across here? Like, anyone? Is there a divergence across here? Anybody? Yes? No? Be brave, soldiers. No, no. Excellent. No. Good. Some people are paying attention, they're not asleep at a wheel. They didn't kill their fucking grandparents while they were driving, you know, and crashing the car. You don't think so? Perfect. No, there's not. The reason is that, you know, price is going down, it is creating lower lows, so is RSI, right? There's no divergence. There is no reason for me to start thinking, right, well, fuck me, let's really start going balls deep on this. You know, let's like look at the opposite. Let's look at like some meme diagonals, right? And let's go, okay, well, if there's no divs, like on the daily, you know, is there anything like that on lower time frames? Let's go 4 hour. Let's go 4 hour. Let's do this. Let's kind of just stick with this, like minor lesson, right? This. So okay, we've got a bit of a divergence because we've got lower lows and we've got higher low on RSI. But can anyone tell me why this is a janky and shitty div? I might give you some of my crap bag. Because of CB listing? No. Why is this div, just from a purely TA perspective, chart perspective, not good? It's not extended low enough? No, it's not that. It's actually quite good in terms of it's at the extremes, but cheers both of you for chucking in. Hit 50 already? So yeah, that's one. And time, yeah, both right. Reset. So firstly, yeah, it's hit 50, which is pretty much like that's the move that you want to get. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, from a time perspective, this here is 33 bars. Now, the RSI, by default, and I haven't changed this, is 14. So it's 14 candles that it goes across. So if you want an actionable div, it should really be across the 14 candles that you are. So basically like this here, right? So you should be looking for a divergence across like that kind of time frame. If it's one or two more, it's not that bad, right? It's not, you know, the be all and end of the world. But if it's, you know, 33, it's a bit like, eh. You know, all you can really glean from it is that there is a bit of a shift in momentum. It's not like a very good actionable div. So anyway, you start going further down, you go down to the hourly, again, it's the same kind of shit, there's not really much. So let's kind of go back to the 4 hour and go, well, okay. We know we want a long fart coin at some point, so what do we have to start thinking about? Like, well, firstly, if it's in a strong downtrend, it's probably going to continue with something stupid like this, right? Like meme downward channels, like, so what we want to see is it break it, yeah? So if it starts breaking it, which it failed to do here, it failed to do here, it retested it, sorry, it broke out here and then retested it here. Like, okay, I don't really trade off these, they're just kind of visual cues. Well, what's the kind of logical level? And, you know, for me, I posted this on Twitter, which is like, I posted with Oliver Andex, I was like, I wonder. And the I wonder is because, I'll just delete it all actually, because fuck it. Is you got a real clean pivot through here. And this is a 4 hour chart, right? So we will go a bit lower in a sec, but bounce, bounce, very solid, crash through, resistance, 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 etc., until, you know, ultimately we move up. But that's the trade, right? So then it's like, okay, well, Charlie, why were you looking at this here? Now, it's firstly that there were some hints on low time frame relative strength, and by low time frame relative strength, I mean literal 15 to 1 second charts. And then there was this series of higher lows, bosh, 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 with very clean resistance, very clean validation, basically balls deep, go long. And that's your high time frame setup. You go, great, Charlie. Well, that's not the trade that you shared. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now let's go down a bit further. So how did I catch the intraday rotation? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's because this here is a simple fucking downtrend. This is a strong move on relative strength. Ta-da! Charlie's favourite setup appears. Let's fucking smash some money into resistance, because if you've got a high time frame, very bullish looking chart at one of the best assets for the last 2 months in terms of trading, right? What's going to happen? Like, if the market's bullish, it should fucking run. And that's exactly what it did. That's exactly why I fucking longed it. And it is literally ran up and held trend for fucking ages now. Even now it's holding it. Only just. But you know, starting to get the similar kind of sort of thought process, right? Start breaking that on low time frame relative strength, you're probably going to have a good rotation. The big difference with this up here is you haven't got as much in terms of support, right? Like the levels across here are a little bit more janky. Yeah, a little bit more janky, though you can kind of justify it. There's nothing really saying that, well, you know, this is going to kind of explode like a classic breakout trade. But equally, you know, combining low time frame price action with high time frame understanding of context and environment, you know, you're longing a high time frame breakout, but you're using low time frame price action to execute. I think that's the source. But yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, like my targets on Fartcoin are let's have a peep. Let's have a peep at my like actual trades. So yeah, we've lost our meme diagonal, so like from a rotational perspective, it's really tempting to just close it and take some profits, yeah, because you know this was really good trade. It's up, you know, whatever it's up now, you know, 23%, something like that. It's pretty fucking nuts. But let's have a peep. So I've obviously not been looking at this for the last few minutes. It's still reasonable in terms of strength. Like it's showing some signs that it wants to be very high beta, some very, very high strength moves there, even if it's now, you know, close to BTC. Like that to me is, well, do I really want to let go of this early? No, not really. You know, this coin is pretty fucking good on a high time frame basis. These trades make sense. If I can eke a bit more out of them, then I will, and I covered that in Paragon. So you know, how to trend follow it, etc., etc., and what to do. So I'm not in any rush to close these, not because I think, oh, it's going to infinity. I will close them at some point. You know, if it pulled back even to like here, I'd probably be closing like the equivalent of this, and you know, maybe keeping some of this. But you know, I'm taking profits, because what I don't want to do is be the cunt that goes, wow, I've got this, look at this wonderful trade that I caught, and then go, oh fuck, all right, well, there's my entry. It's now a loss. How the fuck is that? How the fuck have I done that? You know, for me, as soon as structure breaks, wow, that was terrible. As soon as structure starts breaking and we lose trend, I'm not interested in just staying in it, right? But look, you know, we've had a pullback, consolidated a little bit. Now it looks like it's fucking ready to pop again. Imperial something, yeah, Birdie got as well. What if you change it to 30? Why 14? So going back to the RSI thing, I mean, it's typically 14 just because that's the kind of time that, well, that's the default. So that's why it's 14. But it's also that if you do it over 30, you won't get much. So we can do it. I'll show you what I mean. It'll be very, very slow to change. So like, look at it. Like, what are we gonna really sort of like? All we're seeing is that it's like, you know, very slowly getting like weaker, but it's too slow to actually do anything useful with. Whereas at least with the 14, it's quite reactive to price. Does that make sense? It's a good question though. Another thing, do you risk a fixed amount or fixed percentage on your trades? Oh, that's a good question. I'm a little bit more dynamic than I should be, and it will largely depend on, like, when you look at this like Farcoin setup, right? It's a really fucking good high time frame setup. You've got pretty much everything there. You know, it's kind of a big slap in the face. Like, Charlie, like this is pretty good. Like, if there's a time to risk on for a decent rotation, you know, it's here. So, you know, decent sized trade. Other times when, like, I'll be intraday trading and I haven't got a clear read on the market, or I'm trading out of boredom, or because I do that, right? I'm not immune to it. You know, I can just scale down and do a bit of trading just to keep my you know, mental game strong, just to keep my execution strong, just to keep my read of the market, because it is a skill set, right? It is a you know, it is something that you have to keep using, or at least the way I trade it is. You know, I could probably just become a high time frame swing trader, like on a daily chart, and probably execute 5-6 times a year and do pretty well. But where's the fun in that, right? Where's the fun in that? But you asked me about sizing, so I size dynamically is probably the best way to put it. I try and do a fixed. The way I try and think of it these days is, how much am I willing to bet on this idea? So, you know, am I willing to bet $100? Am I willing to bet, you know, what we down $111 so far this stream? Am I willing to lose whatever the hell I put in? Oh, I invested $158. Am I willing to lose $158? Yes, I am. That's absolutely fine. You know, am I willing to lose $158,000 on some completely random and pointless crap? No. No, that would be pretty stupid of me, right? But yeah, I mean, I do have general sizing rules, and they are more about dollar amounts, and those dollar amounts are connected to my, like, overall net worth and or portfolio size. But I don't just have, I've got $1,000 portfolio, I'm willing to lose 1% on every single trade, which is $10, you know. And then as my portfolio grows to $10,000, okay, it's now still 1%, and it's $100, and every trade will be a $100 loss, or $200 or $300 win. Right, it's not as fixed as that. Because sometimes you get the opportunities. Fuck me. Good morning. That just slap you in the face and say, you know, you should really be risking a little bit more. Doesn't mean I don't control my risk. That's the other point, right? Doesn't mean I don't control my fucking risk. I've got stops. I've still got minimum amounts I'll lose, but I might risk 2%. I might risk 3%. Yeah. Solana ETF breaking. Let's go. Bosh. Excellent for my Farcoin bags. Perfect time to claim some clout. Oh bosh, gem the stream. Cheers, mate. Yeah, so that's good. I can send my Farcoin bags. Cheers, Tardfi. I mean, doesn't look particularly sustainable, but we'll see. Hopefully it is. Hopefully just that's the next leg up on Farcoin. Job done. Easy as peas. Did it cure cancer or what? Yeah, yep. Apparently that's the ultimate cure for cancer is farts. Wouldn't mind Solana Summer V2. Yeah, I think the problem with Solana Summer V2, I mean, like, this is probably the exact, like, issue. You know what I mean? Like, this is the typical fucking, like, rug. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it won't rug, right? Maybe it'll just, maybe Bonk Guy or biometric fuck ton or something like that. But, yeah, my point being that a lot of charts just do this. They probably don't even do that, to be honest. They go up a little bit and then bosh, someone just fucking rugs it, and then everyone gets bored, and then everyone goes, you know, back to the X-ray machine, and goes, okay, well, what shit are we aping now? You know, do bloop sounds great, yee. You know, I'm one of 478 holders, lovely. Right, what are we going for? You know, bosh. What's the next one? Cat, of course. Of course, I saw dog fucking qualify earlier. Looking at dog. And obviously cat has run to, you know, 1.3 mil instead of totally useless crap or whatever we've aped. Classic. Classic. We'll just assume that it's coming back, right? I'm not wrong. The market is wrong. Remember that. True, I don't really gamble like that. It's like soul bags, like Peepo, FE, and that's it. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, I'm just gambling with whatever I can afford to lose. Go on, Bert. Let's fucking go. Go on, Bert. I got fat bags of that. Desync. I think we covered desync last stream, didn't we? And that's doing all right. I really want to see, like, this is the thing, is I want to see some like on-chain utilities like run, like desync, AI, you know, anything in that kind of sector would be really nice. Yeah, this is a strong move as well. But yeah, I've got a big bag of desync, so you know, I am of course biased. What else? Doge to 0.7. I think it's one of the mistakes that I make every single cycle of being like, oh, Doge is going to be a little bit shit compared to everything else. And the reality is, like, if you look at the beta of it, like, this is what I took before, right? Like, this old trade. And the Paragon, I took it with some decent size too. So, it's actually quite hard to hold, but we'll talk about that another day. You know, this... it's just not particularly amazing. You know, I think there's so many better meme coins to trade than Doge. I think Doge is, you know, always going to be respected for being the original, the OG of the memes, but reality is that it's just, you know, it's just not as good as everything else. Market is liking the Solana ETF. So, do I think it will go to 0.7? It certainly could do if we get, like, you know, a full-on shebang of, you know, Bitcoin absolutely running. But, like, look at it at the moment. It's just pathetic. I'd rather bet on most other things than Doge, to be honest. And that's probably going to be famous last words. You'll be clipping that in like 3 months' time when Doge is like $10. And that's absolutely fine. I don't mind that. Asking again, kind sir. There are so many triggers to enter a trade. Divs, Delta, OI, Demand, Breaker, SFP, FBG, and then I watch your streams to keep it purely simple. Can you give me some tips on what to choose and what not to? Okay. So maybe if I take you through my journey a little bit, right? Launch coin and Eustace ripping. Excellent. Wow, lovely. So maybe if I take you through like my journey and like all the stuff that I used and tried to use and all this kind of stuff. Let's just take it with like a shitty chart like fucking Arbitrum. So I basically started off with what did I start off with? I like the logo, I like the name. Don't know what it does, but it's going up, so I'll buy some. Probably up here, it's gone down. Well, I'll sell it then. You know, no system. Woo! Apologies, just sneezed. No system, just pure fuck knows. Just, I like the chart, I like the logo, whatever it might be. And then I went to EMAs. And I've got to say that EMAs are probably the most like noob friendly trading system that there is, right? And yeah, if you really think about it, like something like Super Guppy, you know, I guess absolutely shat on, but you know, just flicking through stuff, it can tell you what charts are good and what charts are bad, and that you should be able to fucking see them anyway, right? but still. Like, when you start looking at trends, and you start going, well, actually, this is like flipping trend, this is a good trending move, you know, and you're on a decent time frame, you know, like, you can start seeing where trends are breaking, you can start seeing where we're flipping those trends, and, you know, it's just a very simple, like, LDO, like, right now, like, pretty strong, relative to, you know, the trend, obviously not to everything else, because you compare like Aave with Wave, with LDO, you compare it with like Filecoin, right? Like, it's been in a massively strong uptrend since way back here. But using EMAs, so is price above EMA? What direction are the EMAs facing? What? Where's ZXO? You know, XO macro trend scanner. So, you know, go into like different time frames, assess market structure, assess trend, assess it, you know, relative to RSI. Like, actually, let's just ignore that. Like, just do it by itself. You know, as we cross the EMAs, as they start pointing bullish, you know, is this a good place to be bullish? Probably not. But then combine it with some price action to say that if it pulls back here and tests the trend, would that be good? Yeah, probably. That's kind of a trend continuation play. If it comes back into here as well, the kind of confluence of actually its former range highs, you know, start combining EMAs with price action. And then if you want to go a step further, combining it with like RSI and Awesome Oscillator, but just know that RSI and Awesome Oscillator are just a reflection of price. So you've got this information in front of you, you just don't see it displayed in that way. Like, the Awesome Oscillator is the distance between these two EMAs, but just baselined as if like that line there is the 0 line. So it's just, you know, moved from a, whatever that is, like 40-degree angle to horizontal. Yeah, does that make sense? So you don't really need this, you don't really need this. Stock RSI is a bit different. I won't go into that because, you know, it's just a little bit more complex. But what I would suggest you do is study a couple of the indicators, understand how they're calculated, understand what it's telling you, understand why a momentum divergence, if you want to use that kind of stuff, is, you know, important. Understand why market structure is important, because, you know, fundamentally people are willing to buy at higher prices and they want to sell at higher prices. You know, the market kind of is doing this auction and it keeps ending up higher. Yeah, like, and then go back and back test it, right? This is the thing that people don't do. And what you can do as well, and this is what I did for fucking ages, you know, me and a couple of the lads in the Paragon, who I actually haven't spoken to in ages, one of them, but we spent a whole summer downloading this data, because you can export chart data, and basically building systems off like 1 minute data with various indicators. It was nuts, right? I'm not saying go down that like autistic route, but you can literally go back and say, okay, well, if it crosses on a coin that I like Filecoin, or that's in play relative to everything else, i.e. spaghetti, then, you know, how do I trade this? If there's an invalidation within X%, or there's, you know, is the invalidation a range low? Is the invalidation the range break? I.e., you know, something like, let's just go for this, like the breakout candle. Like, is it that? What is it? What's your trading system? Start defining it. Start back testing it. Just go back and fucking do it. Like, people think there's a magic indicator. There's not. There's not a magic indicator. There's not going to be a magic system either. Like, you can come into the Paragon group, yeah? You can watch all of my videos. You can go through all of my streams. You can then go to Docs. You can watch all of his videos, all of his streams. You can then go to Magases, right? And do exactly the same thing. And let's pretend you absorb 100% of the information that's presented to you. You, as a trader, even if you just did one of our videos or one of our sets, you're still going to end up with a different system and a different execution methodology than all three of us, because we all apply a little bit of discretion and we've all got experience that you won't have, right? And you will have experience that we don't have as well, and you'll have strengths that we don't have. So some people are really patient, some people are really impatient, some people are good at taking on risk, some people are bad at taking on risk. And that's why trading is such a beautiful thing, right? And that's why when you ask the question, Jake, that's like a massive, massive answer, because it's kind of for you to develop your art form. But the way that you do that is by, asking other artists how they've come up with theirs, diving into them, understanding them, trying to work out which parts of their artwork and their methodology you want to take into yours. Are you a price action trader? Do you just go, I don't give a fuck what's going on under the hood, right? I don't care. I can see that Farcoin is going up. I can see that there are some, decent candles, decent divs. I kind of get the matter, but I don't really give a fuck about it. All I want to see is trend reclaims, price action to give me a clue. I'm a 100% price action trader. Screw your order flow stuff. Give me a naked chart and an RR tool, and I'll fucking outperform everything. Fine. I know some good traders like that. You want to be an EMA trader? I know some very good traders like that. You want to be a low time frame spaghetti trader? You have to be quite autistic. But in seriousness, it is kind of for you to pick what elements you like and what elements you don't like. That's a really long answer, but hopefully a helpful one. Oh, fuck me. Good morning. It's alright, my $100 that I've lost over here is slightly compensated for in the Farcoin long. Nice. Yeah, does that make sense? Like, I'm trying to give you a decent answer without actually just going, oh, it's price action, that's the best thing. Because it's not. It's whatever makes sense to you. There's actually nobody I know that uses spaghetti the way I do. Right? Some people look at it on like a 4-hour basis and go, oh yeah, this looks good. But I'll look at it on like the 1 minute, the 15-second basis, and I will be fucking fast to a rotation that other people will not have caught. There's a lot that I see in this that other people don't, because I've spent thousands of hours looking at this shit. And if it makes logical sense to you that you want to catch the one that's fastest out the fastest horse out the gate because it'll be the easiest to trade, which is what makes absolute sense to me, then this style of trading is probably for you. But anyway, that's a big answer. Spaghetti chat just broke my PC. Yeah, I mean, it's quite intense, It's quite a lot of memory or some shit. I'm not really a tech nerd. You're the best guy. Cheers, T-Raw. If you guys don't mind just helping me out by like liking the stream and stuff, that's all I ask. All I ask. That little 2 seconds of click. And then I can tell my mum that, people like my stream. Like, as soon as you joined, what a ledge. Is there anything else anyone wants to kind of cover? Because, for me, there's not like huge amounts. Oh, Ethereum Cash. Good morning. I actually had some banging trades on Ethereum Cash, but that wasn't one of them. Actually, no, it might have been. That was May. No. That was a fucking month ago. Pepe was really good from my time frame perspective. Tickcoin looking good here. Oof. Can't touch the Tickcoin. Wife will be like, what are you googling there? Yeah, Vanry looks fucking awful. I'm not gonna lie. I think I've got a pretty decent sized, well, what was a decent sized bag of this anyway. I definitely just took some profits, but it just doesn't look great. I'm not gonna lie, like even here, like it needs to start flipping. It needs to start actually pushing in terms of trend, right? It's just this is what I mean. It's just weak. big overhang of like supply, I imagine, from like the classic, like look at it. It's like the euthanasia roller coaster, isn't it? You know, bosh, bosh. You know, it's just doing this. It's just every run is like weaker and weaker. And even if it gets a run, it'll probably end up doing this, right? I.e. a lower high. And I imagine there'll be better coins. So I'm not being mean. But yeah. Not ideal. If you've got time for this one, cheers brother, how much are you factoring in non-TA factors, coin-based listing here into your trades? Especially CB listings provide mega vol and some insane candles, kind of looking at Toshi Pepe situ. As in the actual candle of listing, or post-listing, do you mean? Because, you know, do I take it into account in terms of like low time frame price action? Because I actually caught the fucking listing move. Wherever the fuck it was, I literally longed, and then within like, I mean, I tweeted about it as well. I was like, we were either chatting in the Paragon group or whatever, but we where was it? It was the other day, wasn't it? I bought it. It must have been fucking seconds. Well, no, it wasn't seconds. It was about 5 minutes before. Yeah, here we go, 5th of June. Like literally bought a load at like 96 cents, which I could have held, but I didn't. And then yeah, it just insta pumped 10%, but obviously it was a bit more boring back then. 5th of June was down here. So yeah, it was this, wasn't it? It was that there, I think, actually. But yeah, that did actually mark the bottom, didn't it? I think it was this. I think it pumped and then dumped and then ran. But yeah, that literally marked the Pico low. Should've just held that. Now well. So do I take it into account? Well, yeah, like while I'm trading it, obviously, because like if something is like a big one-off volume candle, what tends to happen, the way I tend to look at it is, if it's dying and doing fucking nothing, and then a big candle comes in and like sweeps a high or something, and then it comes back and goes under that high, I'm like, and I happen to be long, or I've caught it, or maybe I wouldn't long up here, but either way, you know, like, and it starts round tripping, I'll just cut it because I know that it's been caused by whatever noise it is. Sometimes though, that noise can be in excess of what it's actually done to price. The example I always go back to is the XRP thing, when XRP won their case. The news traders caught it at around 4%. The news traders were happy, they'd caught 4%. They all started fucking selling. It went down to like plus 2%, and I was like, what the fuck, this is like the biggest news in crypto for months at the time, because it was such a like low vol period. And I just fucking aped the shit out of it. Like, I broke my risk management rules, I fucking broke everything, so I was like, nah. This reaction versus the news, right? There was a massive disparity there. Massive disparity. And it turns out I was fucking right, because it went up like 80-90% within like 2 hours. Hyper liquid as well. Every fucker was trading it, because it was like the only thing that was moving. Spaghetti, basically everything on Spaghetti just went like that. And XRP just went like that. Everyone rotated to XRP. So yeah, I do take it into account. I try and triangulate it, and the way that I always describe this is you're trading in a context of an environment. So the environment that you are trading in, you've just had a Sol ETF announcement, right? So what do people think that changes? Either on a short-term basis, or a medium-term basis, or a longer-term basis, if anything, right? What are the things that you're going to look at now because there's been a Sol ETF announcement or whatever? Let me just have a peep at it. It was just a good post about the progression of Sol ETFs. Ah, okay. So an announcement of an announcement, not anything particularly wonderfully serious. While you're answering that, I'll answer the other questions. Bitcoin with past months. Yeah, I mind share, yeah, exactly. Who the fuck's market making graphs and why do they absolutely love just nuking the chart? The very second we get the breath of relative strength. Yeah, it happens on quite a few charts, mate. But I don't really trade graphs, I don't know. Got your heart broken while Bitcoin at 110k going through mixed feelings. Ah, sorry, brother. That is not ideal. There'll always be another trade, and there'll always be another woman, man, day, whatever you're into. But yeah, doesn't make it any fun. Once it goes live on CB, just not the announcement, remember that. Talking about slamming strength into Bitcoin, yeah. Do you think dead coins like Gala or IMX are going to come back to life eventually? No, what they'll do is they'll do this. The projects, if they're still around, will have some sort of marketing campaign. They might OTC to Coles, drop supply, or something like that, and then they'll have like an announcement that they've partnered with like Epic Games or some shit, and then they'll go bosh, and then there'll be like 100% move because like it's just been sell only, and then it'll die like Raven did, and then it'll probably do that, and then it'll die, and then it'll just go back to this down only. Yeah, that is the typical kind of pseudo resurrection. The kind of Jesus Christ move. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, but we'll say anyway, you know. The resurrection, but then he fucks back off again. So, yeah. So no, I don't think... I think you're best off with new shiny shit. And I will say it again and again and again. New shiny shit is the way to go. Because it's just better. Your video notification came on at the end. Well, sorry, Daniel. The name's so good I said it twice. Good at taking on risk but not reducing risk, lol. Yeah, a lot of people have that problem. Some people have it the other way around. I'm probably... I'm worse at taking risks. As my portfolio's gone like that, not like that obviously, it's probably a bit more like this, you know, fucking janky or whatever. I'm not trying to, you know, shill my portfolio performance, but you know, compared to 2017, 2021, 2025, like it's definitely like this. The journey might have been like this, yeah, but it's like this. My risk appetite has kind of gone from like, I'll just fucking degen anything to, maybe I won't ape this. Maybe I won't ape KTA at 0.05 just in case the transaction thing's a load of bullshit. You know, it's like, yeah, I'll just stick to trading Farcoin perps and Bitcoin and ETH, which is, I guess, you know, you make a percentage or two on this versus that. You know, that would have been pretty pointless. Not pointless, but whereas this is better. You catch SPX 6900, it's ripped? No. But not new? Well, it's newer. It's, you know, it's not been around for a number of cycles, has it? It's not like Doge that's been around for like 20 cycles. How do you find the new shiny shit before they go berserk? Have smart friends, play around on stuff like this, like Bunkbot. I'll obviously do it better than I do. You know, this kind of stuff. Bald. There was actually a bald one that ran, wasn't there? Oh, this one. Poly M trade. It's a lot of volume, isn't it? For a, you know, 900k shit war. SPX almost at all-time high. Excellent. Do I still believe in Bert? Yeah, massively. I'm gonna tweet about it enough, mate. Like, I've got a fucking massive bag, and I'm gonna dump on people when it goes to like, I think I'll probably take my initials out 100 million if I'm honest, and then the rest of it like 250, 300 if it can get that high. So yeah, 100 up here, which is pretty decent, you know, resistance. But yeah, I'm hopeful. But I've held this for a fucking long time, and obviously this, you know, whole thing has been quite a while, I suppose. But yeah, I'm actually I've written a thread on, but I just haven't posted it yet because I'm a lazy fuck. like seeing someone have a daily close above this 50 SMA. Yeah, that's nice almost. So you know, back to like James's question earlier of, you know, what are people trading with? What's the good indicator and stuff? Like, oh, there it was just given a very simple kind of, well, I'll just have a look at the 50 SMA, see where it's trading above or below, and if it's above, I'll be bullish. If it's below, I'll be bearish. You know, very simple, but nice. Gives you a kind of clean way of viewing the market, and I think that for me, you know, is really nice. I think we might have whiffed this one, boys. I think it might be completely random and pointless. Though I did like what they did. Very clever. So yeah, I think unless there's anything else from anyone else, then there's probably not much more to say. Yeah, I don't think I've got too much to add. 8:20. We've got code STREAMHYPE, 20% off. Ooh, you can't even type. We'll just bosh that there. Any problems, give me a shout. If not, when CS2 live streams? I haven't played CS2 for ages. Yeah, thank you for being here. Hit like, hit subscribe, do all that stuff. Go sign up to Bunkbot. And thank you all for the questions. The questions genuinely help a lot because they, you know, provide content and they really kind of help with just the kind of to me to you of it all. And hopefully it means you get a lot more value out of these streams than just me yapping at you. And going, here's 10 setups, here's 10 ideas, etc. So yes, I will love you and leave you, and I will see you at the same time next week. Au revoir.